Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Cthulhu-Kin and Friends show. Tonight, I'll be your host, the illustrious Mr. Irate Bear. Joined with me this evening is the one, the only, the moist, Omegon.
Real world problems, everyone.
Also joining us this evening is your favourite, Mr. Trups.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. And gentlemen, I hope you're both well. Oh. Happy Thanksgiving to all the Americans out there. Now, you've made me do the intro now, so I'm taking over now.
That's fine, that's fine. Joining us this evening is Irate Bear. Say hello, Irate Bear.
Hello, Irate Bear.
How are you today, Irate Bear?
I'm wonderful. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm all right. I've had a wonderful day. My nieces and nephews are all ill, so naturally, I've kept them at arm's length at all times because I refuse to be afflicted with the sickness.
Children are petri dishes.
They are quite, yes. Oh, a casual gamer bear is here. Yes, he is. I'm so glad.
Right, that name's getting changed.
Oh wait, is the stream buffering? That's not a good sign. Never mind.
It did for a moment.
Yeah. Earlier today we were talking about Brexit. So guess what we're going to talk about for most of this stream today?
Is it Brexit?
It is Brexit.
People subscribing to PewDiePie?
Oh, that too. And donating to your Streamlabs, of course. But we're going to talk about Brexit. But we're going to talk about Trups' things first, because I think if we get those out of the way, we can focus more on Brexit. So let's start with the Facebook thing you DM'd me earlier, Trups. Do you want to explain this?
Oh no. Yeah. So for all of those who aren't Americans, you may look at Thanksgiving in a couple different ways. For us Americans, we look at it as a time where family gets together. Unless you have white guilt, then you think that you are a colonist and that you should apologize to everybody because you don't deserve to be in this country.
So guilty of their whiteness. Just
oh yeah.
Slightly. Basically, okay. So the Facebook post reads, "I just want to apologize on behalf of all white people." I don't speak for white people because I'm not white. But I've got to say, who the fuck are you to speak for white people? For stealing this country. We shouldn't be here. It's only been, what, quarter of a millennium by now, you know? No one should be celebrating Thanksgiving. Well, it was kind of a coming together thing, wasn't it? Am I mistaken?
I mean, yeah. I mean, the story that we were told when we were kids was actually a story about bridging the gap between pilgrims and Indians, so I'm not quite sure.
I learnt the story differently because I watched The Addams Family too. It's a celebration of Nazism, which somehow manages to predate actual Nazis. Right.
Oh, of course.
And hatred. Sorry, go on.
I just want to point out that Americans were the first to have the multiracial posse.
Of course. So they're naturally Nazis. Did I say Thanksgiving? Excuse me, more like Takesgiving. So remember this, Steelvember, it's Movember. Who gave you this country? Well, no one gave it to them, they took it, because seriously, who wouldn't want all that ass? I am responsible. I'm glad we now know who to blame. Yeah, well, he's owning up to us. He says he's responsible. He killed the Indians. So now we know who to lynch. Just
scalp him.
Oh dear.
Let's scalp the fucker. Okay.
Look at the guy's hair. Fucking scalp him.
It's just let's get a close up of him. Oh, I can't get close enough. There we go. It's as close as I can get. Yeah.
He's very much milady.
He is. The next thing I thought we'd quickly cover. I did make a video on this, and I've had a number of people leave comments on this on my video about the religious practice and the Constitution. Do you understand what that's about, Trups?
So restate your question exactly.
Okay,
what is exactly the?
I know where he's going with this because I covered it this morning.
Yeah, you did. I done my video on it and uploaded it, and then someone mentioned that the Constitution protects people's religious freedom, which validates the judge's position of saying that Congress overstepped its bounds when it legislated, even though the judge also said it was a state-level thing, when 26 states have already legislated against it, and the state it happened in has outright banned it anyway in their own legislation.
Okay, So, yes, the Constitution does protect religious freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, do those religious freedoms infringe on the rights, property, liberty of others?
Mm-hmm.
Some would say yes.
Yeah.
And it is in those contexts where usually there is an exception made, like in the sense of freedom of speech, where if you are threatening somebody
Mm-hmm.
with a immediate cause to action, that is not protected. In this case, this is a practice that injures somebody permanently and leaves them susceptible to other kinds of ailments.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. I wanted to make a really bad false equivalence by pointing out if it was religious practice, then why did some places legislate in favor of gay marriage? It's that kind of, it goes against religion, and yet people
Right.
still
See, it's a very backwards thought because of that in particular. Religious freedom, sometimes when we feel like it.
Are you still there? Can you hear him, Bear?
Yes.
Oh, you can't. Right, I thought you'd stopped, or you carried on and just cut out.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Are you still talking, or are you?
Am I holding up?
No, you're not.
I
You're
stopped.
you're cutting out. You've been cutting out on us, I
Oh.
think.
Oh dear. I had stopped talking. That was what happened.
Oh, right, fair enough. What do you think, Bear, about all this?
Well, I mean, I'm obviously not as au fait with the Constitution as Trups or the Americans watching are.
Mhm.
Obviously, I do know that the religious freedoms are protected, but surely they when it comes to this kind of thing, it should only extend to the point where, you know, it doesn't infringe on the rights of others or the integrity of your person.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's where a lot of things go wrong when talking about how the Ninth Circuit Court has been handling things.
There was,
which is part of the other.
right. There was something that I had wondered, and I'd completely forgotten to confirm it. But the argument is that this is a religious practice. However, circumcision predates religion. So is it really a religious practice, or is it a cultural practice that has no place in civil society? I would argue, much like many things in many religions having been appropriated from history and not religion, they are appropriated and therefore cultural and not religious. Therefore, this argument, what it is in the court anyway, of it being a religious freedom, is null and void. Yes, maybe Congress has overstepped its boundaries, but it's on the premise that it is a religious practice. But I say it's appropriated and therefore cultural. And all circumcision should be banned unless it's medically needed. I have to state this over and over again because apparently when I don't, I get MRAs in my comments going fucking nuts at me.
Let's not call those MRAs. Let's call them lice. They're a very different breed of people.
You're
I've
right.
caught them twice. I accidentally spread them to Weebo Jones. I didn't even touch her. It's amazing.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they decided to go after Weebo not that long ago as well.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised. I mean, I know she did didn't she do a side quest which put an ice down her top? Just saying. Cultural appropriation. Thank you, chat. Yeah.
It made me laugh when they went after Drunken Uncle because I thought to myself, of all the people you could go after, you decided to start shit with Drunkle, and they were threatening to kidnap him and shit. And I just thought to myself, you know, he would be just the worst hostage ever.
He'd piss you off to the point where you'd want to shoot him early, just so he'd just. I mean, based on the text messages I used to get from him, which he has stopped doing since I spammed him with enough wood. He hasn't messaged me in weeks because of it. Which I'll be honest, it's better than the 5 a.m. wake up with him messaging me some random drunkenness. I'm just saying.
It was usually a dream in which Omegon starred as his shiny armor, his knight in shiny.
I read all of them out on his live streams. They do chuckle. They make me chuckle. It's he has quite the knack for creativity.
We all, myself, Omegon, and Viper, and I believe Misa also gets them as well. We're written short stories.
Yeah.
Which are usually delivered between the time of 3 o'clock in the morning to around 6, around that time.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
I do enjoy them.
To Trez and the Posh Barbarian over on Streamy. I can see you guys. I do apologise, I'm not paying all the attention in the world.
Hi, Trez. Hi, Posh.
Yes. I thought one more thing we can cover, or two more things quickly then. One is the Thanksgiving screenshot you sent me, Trups, which is the how to talk politics at Thanksgiving. Just out of curiosity,
yes.
Can you explain to me how Thanksgiving works so I understand when politics will crop up?
Okay, so the context is on CNN homepage. Suddenly, there was this how to talk politics at Thanksgiving. Politics happens at Thanksgiving because invariably somebody talks about current events, which will spiral into a conversation about policy, somebody, an election. I mean, obviously, midterms just happened, so it's almost always this air of, how did the midterms of the last election just play out? Really bad time of the year, think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very, very fresh in everybody's mind. So, how to talk politics at Thanksgiving is it's a play on the fact that almost everybody has a story about Thanksgiving,
Right.
where they get into a major religious or political or something debate with family, because almost everybody has left their family or left a part of their family at one point or another for not understanding, or at least had an argument about not understanding individuals' right to pursue their own dreams.
Okay.
So it's like, let's say my sister was left to where I am. That could be an argument, right? So imagine that every family.
Are you still talking?
No, I stopped.
Oh, right. See, I can't tell. It's really weird with your microphone today. It's such an odd tone.
Yes, because I am home in Jersey, I do not have my usual mic, and I apologize.
Oh, don't apologise. It's all good. I think it's fantastic. I can imagine the idea. I mean, I know some people at certain holidays when the cooking's going on, and you have certain traditions, and so I can understand there being a lot of anger. But normally, even in my family, if they argue before, it stops once you start eating, so it doesn't really matter anymore.
You would hope so.
But I guess, and you can't. The adage, I say adage. It's become more politically charged. It's not really valid because it's always been like that. It's just people's way of dealing with it has become more vocal, I think, and more passionate.
Yes,
and poisonous, I guess.
I'd say so.
Even in our wonderful country of Britain, where we just cue and moan, it's become quite. We're only moaning because we're queuing, and celebrating at the same time, of course.
It's quite interesting how even politics in the UK has become incredibly divisive in recent years as well.
Yeah, but isn't it wonderful that Theresa May's managed to unite Leavers and Remainers because she's so shit.
She's made me want to vote Labour. That's how shit she is.
Honestly, Tiger Lily.
Yes, I am Tiger Lily.
Yeah, he is Tiger Lily. You should definitely go visit him. I don't think I could ever vote Labour at the moment, the current state of the party. But I can't, and I don't vote Conservative anyway. But I can't vote Conservative either. But I can understand why more people are interested in voting Labour. So before we go to Brexit, which is going to dominate the remainder of the stream, did you want to explain the Chief Justice crap?
Yeah, so something interesting that went on recently was that Chief Justice Roberts started to hit back at Trump after Trump fired off a tweet that was basically complaining about the Ninth Circuit Court.
Can you, before
Those
you start,
who don't know,
before you go anywhere, this picture, right? I'm going to zoom in slightly, because his eyes, fam, those eyes. Look at those fucking eyes. How baked is he?
His right eye in particular is looking rather red, isn't it?
Dude, what's he on? He's either been crying or he's had a really good smoke. There we go. Right. So I did look into this. So it was because the Trump's migration policy, migrant asylum policy.
Yeah.
And this is a reference to the fact that a judge blocked his administration from denying claims to immigrants who crossed the border illegally. And this is from CNN of all places. But it's when you see immigrants who cross the border illegally, you're like, hang on a second. they've already crossed the border, but you're banning him from you're stopping him from denying asylum to people who've come here illegally. That's quite, oh dear. I don't know what to say to that. Though it does make me wonder, is there some kind of federal law that says people can do that, or what? I'm confused. Oh, hang on. Is there a video of Trump pardoning the turkey? I will. Hang on. Let me just go back here and I'll go and get it. I know that I've seen Obama do it. I think he called. Did he call the turkey delicious? What's it? Trump pardoning turkey. From 1 day ago. Okay, found it on the Guardian of all places. Right. Oh, fuck off with the ad. Oh, it's 20 seconds unskippable. Okay, we'll carry on talking for a second. I know that people in Mexico with the caravan thing have started getting more vocal about about this, to the point where they're getting violent as well.
Oh yeah, they seem to be taking the law into their own hands over in Mexico.
Honestly, they've been doing that anyway with the drug cartels. But this is just unsurprising.
Oh,
right.
Trups has just left.
Okay, well it's just us for now then, until TrupsLP gets back.
Well, I sent you a tweet that I quote tweeted today. I'm sure you've seen it, or maybe you've even quote tweeted it yourself.
No, I have not, but I will put it up on the screen. Here we go. The tweet: do not let your conservative family members... Oh, yes, I think I did, because I think Roaming Millennial retweeted it. And
you quote tweeted her.
Make me a turkey sandwich. Okay.
Does she ever respond to you? Because I noticed that you do like to sexually harass her a little bit.
She has not made me my sandwich, okay? I'll go to my profile. Give me a second. Let's go here. I'll find my tweet quickly. Okay. She owes me a... Wait, hang on. Yeah, here we go. Make me a turkey sandwich. Nothing. Nothing. She still follows me, though. And she still... I'll go ahead and confirm it. She still follows me. See? She still follows. But she still hasn't made me my sandwich. But here we go.
You should DM that to her.
I might do, just because it's funny. So I'm going to play... I'll DM this to you. Trump pardoning the turkey.
I think I may have saw a little bit of that.
I haven't seen it at all, so I'll just press play.
I am pleased to announce that today's lucky bird and guest of honor is named Peas, along with his alternate named Carrots. The children will understand that.
Peas and carrots,
the winner of this vote was decided by a fair and
limited turkeys.
Yep, and Ailstorm a fantastic Socky.
Election conducted on the White House website. This was a fair election. Unfortunately, Carrots refused to concede and demanded a recount, and we're still fighting with Carrots.
Demanding
I will tell you, we've come to a conclusion. Carrots, I'm sorry to tell you, the result did not change. It won't be entirely arrest. Even though Peas and Carrots have received a presidential pardon, I have warned them that House Democrats are likely to issue them both subpoenas. Nonetheless, in the spirit of Thanksgiving,
I'm loving this.
I will be issuing both Peas and Carrots a presidential pardon.
It's fine. The Peas and Carrots, he's issuing the pardon.
I hereby grant you a full pardon.
Love it. Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I think we've lost Trups. Okay. Never mind. We'll continue on our own. We'll survive.
We will survive.
Yeah. I need to close some tabs. Stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, you are cutting out a bit, mate.
Yeah, I had a few too many tabs open. I do apologise, people. How about I close? Oh, blimey. Oh, I didn't see the chat on stream.me moving. Hello, Cryptic. Right. Twitter, close. I do apologise again. Right, so yes, shall we move on to Brexit? Because this is a hot topic for the day, which is the draft agreement. Lauren is so cute. Yeah, she is quite attractive. Draft agreement on the future relationship with the UK being agreed upon in Brussels, which is, well, it, to most people, sounds fantastic, doesn't it? It sounds like progress. Oh, and I'm gonna... because he's not here. Boop. He's gone. I've moved him off OBS for a minute until he gets back.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
It's just you and me. darling.
Oh, cozy.
I know, right? Yeah, so Theresa May earlier today, she announced that a deal was now within our grasp, which sounds promising, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Until we realise, of course, that the deal is the one she proposed a week ago, and we're all like, ah, shit.
I have a question before we get into it.
Go for it.
We spoke about this morning based on the article and the news that we had.
Yeah.
Presumably, there has been updates since with this supposedly happening tomorrow.
Wait, what?
Wasn't the deal supposed to be finalised tomorrow?
Well, no, Sunday.
Oh.
The deal will be presented to a summit on Sunday of EU national leaders on Sunday. Whether it gets finalised or not, I don't think so. In the Parliament video that we're going to look at soon, Theresa May she talks about it, and she talks about the deal as it is. Corbyn flays her for this. He talks about how it's vague. Problem is, one of the things he latches onto isn't as vague as it comes across, but there are many weaknesses within this agreement. I'm just gonna pull up for a second because this is of interest. This is the original 7-page agreement that was the draft. This was the original initial provisions. There are things mentioned on this about the fishing and stuff, and this was mentioned when it first came out, this 7-page agreement, that Scotland wasn't really mentioned. So you got the fishing part here, but Scotland isn't mentioned, which pissed Scotland off then. And it now pisses Scotland off that in the 26-page political declaration that Scotland are still not mentioned. Which is what you laughing at.
It's just the idea of her purposely leaving out Scotland.
Honestly.
It must be so mad.
Oh god, yeah, you should have seen we'll see it in the video actually. Nigel Dodd of the DUP yesterday in PMQs mentioned that in the agreement, there was no mention of Northern Ireland having a final say on whether they remain a part of the customs union, even though in the joint agreement back in December it said they would. Which is a very worrying turn of events.
Yeah, that is. It makes me wonder how much power did it, because the DUP are obviously propping up the Conservative government right now because they are in a coalition.
Yeah, their 10 votes are,
what action could they take here?
They can abstain from voting. They are doing it at the moment with the financial bills going through from the budget. They're not voting on it, which means it's not going through. And unfortunately, Theresa May actually is in a bit of a bind here because the joint agreement said Northern Ireland gets a final say, but because of the political administration being dissolved and there not being a replacement, those that were mentioned in the joint agreement aren't there to ratify or have a final say like they were supposed to have in the first place, which is worrying.
That is very worrying. How she's managed to single-handedly piss everybody off.
Oh, it's brilliant. And to the Posh Barbarian on Stream.me, Dankula is probably going to be pissed, maybe, if he gives a fuck. I mean, he cares about the Article 13 stuff, like most of us do. And bye-bye, Patriarch of the Sith. Have fun with your Thanksgiving and all that.
Dankula's primary focus has been free speech issues.
Yes, it has been quite... he's been quite vocal
which
on
is
that.
absolutely fair enough.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough.
Yeah.
It's a noble cause. I don't know how he feels about Scotland independence and Brexit.
I've never spoken to him. I wouldn't know. So I will pull this up. This is... Oh well, that's not expanded well, has it? That's completely ballsed it up. Oh, I know why. It'll be that one. Yeah. So this is the video on Rabbit. By the way, we're on Rabbit now. There we go. This is Theresa May in Parliament earlier today. We're not watching all 2 hours 27 minutes of it, because we don't need to watch all of that. But she's going to talk about this. And are you able to pause this like I am, or is it just me?
I'm fairly sure you're in total control.
Okay, cool. Because if it needs pausing, just say, and I'll pause it, and then we can just talk about whatever crap comes out of Theresa May's mouth, and of course Jeremy Corbyn's response, because that's important, and hopefully Ian Blackford as well, because Sorry.
Mr. Speaker, the draft text that we have agreed with the Commission is a good deal for our country and for our partners in the EU. It honours the vote.
I've just noticed the visual quality is horrific on Rabbit. That is the... It's horrific on my end. Is it good on your end?
It's not particularly good, but it doesn't matter, mate. We just need to be able to hear it.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
It honours the vote of the British people.
Oh, bloody hell, you're back. Where did you go?
So you know how Windows occasionally likes to suddenly make an update?
Thank you, Socky, for the £5 donation. I don't know what KTA means. Someone will have to tell me what that stands for.
I know what it means.
What does it mean?
It means kill them all. He likes to spam KTA rather than kill them all via a Streamlabs donation. And as he knows that obviously you have speech to text turned on, or text to speech turned on, and he just spams the fuck out of it.
I don't have it turned on, I don't think, because it didn't happen. I didn't know you could have that as an option. I don't understand this. Yes, where did you go, Trups?
I sat in my room and I waited for my laptop to be done with its up.
Oh, right. Well, we're on Rabbit, if you'd like to join us.
Yes, I will be back in on that.
Yay. It's okay, we're only 12 seconds in. Probably. Thank you, Saki. Let's put Trups back here then, as he's back. There we go.
Yes, and lovely, my Google Chrome saved all the tabs I had open, thank God.
Hey, that's handy. That's handy. Let's see. Close. I'm going to close that because I don't need YouTube open. I'll leave Stream.me open because I can't. Can you pop the chat out on that? Ah, I can. Win. Cool. I'll do that. I can see it now. Okay. Are you in the Rabbit room? No, you're not there yet. It's fine. I'll read
No, it's loading though.
Okay, cool, cool. I will move this here so I can see it. That's handy. I didn't know you could. Oh, there we go.
Are you enjoying Streamy, Omegon?
I used it for the first time yesterday. Cog and Malachite were the only two people that saw it. I was a bit concerned with Restream because I didn't know how to use it, so I had to just work it out. But it's worked out, so I'm very happy.
Oh, good.
And I will continue to use this in the future because I think it's well, actually, you know, it's not a burden. It's not going to hurt me to use it either. And also, I think I've seen how well others have done from it. I'm not talking about like the financial sense. I mean the sense of bringing an audience over. That's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone does want to watch it on Stream.me instead of YouTube, I would say it's in the description, but I forgot to put it there. And I'm too lazy to go and get it as well. So let's. Where am I? There. Right. I'm just going to pop that chat back up and continue.
By taking back control of our borders, our laws and our money, while protecting jobs, security and the integrity of our precious United
Thank you, Irate Bear.
Kingdom. It ends free movement once and...
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't end free movement at all. In fact, that point is debunked, even in Labour's 6 tests for Brexit.
For all. Instead, we will introduce a new skills-based immigration system based not on the...
That's actually...
Bullshit!
Okay, there is a point that was mentioned by others that you would have to earn 30 grand a year or have a job that earns you that to be able to get a job either in the EU or in the United Kingdom. And I would have to now go and quickly go here and find it to confirm that, because it was a point that was brought up.
This is something that I brought up as a point quite some time ago with regards to Brexit. Because one of the biggest sticking points, of course, was open borders, unlimited migration from within the EU. Of course, that doesn't really work because we don't have the same living standards, the same wages, the same cultures and languages. That's why it doesn't work overall.
Yeah.
And when Theresa May was Home Office Secretary, she actually made it incredibly hard for anybody outside the EU to migrate to the UK.
Actually, I can add to that. So a UK Tier 2 visa, immigrants would have to earn £35,000 a year to qualify for a UK Tier 2 visa. It's insane. And permanent residents, you'd have to, it goes from, they want to get the dependents part down from 60,000 to 20,000, but you'd still have to earn a really high salary. That, I'm not joking. That is quite a lot. That's quite big. That's
That's a decent wedge of money to be earning every year. Yeah,
it really is.
Now, how much? What is the difference between a Tier 2 and a Tier 1?
I actually could tell you in a second. Give me a second. I will go into, because I don't actually know the actual difference. A general visa. Okay, so oh, no one can apply for that. Okay, it's instead now a Tier 1 general worker. I assume this is basic bitch level. Whereas Tier 2
temporary visa.
So
yeah,
refugee status?
No, that's not the same. No, that's
It'd be a temporary visa, working visa, that allows you a certain amount of time, but you'll have to keep checking in with the migration office most likely.
Yeah, whereas skilled worker one is a bit more extensive. I can imagine that this would apply to continental Europe, Brits, expats, is that what they're called? Brits are working abroad anyway, which would suck.
Yeah, they're called expats.
Thank you. But at the same time, it's understandable that
Omegon,
people...
you are cutting out really badly, mate.
Am I really? Because it's very green on my end. This is weird. Oh dear.
Now you're okay. You're okay now.
It must be when I switched between what are they called, scenes on OBS. Because OBS does get quite demanding, and I've got loads of tabs open still. Hang on, I'm going to close a few. 1, 2.
That's very possible, actually. I thought it was just me.
Yeah. I know what I could do to break the ice for a second. Let's talk about one of the best shows on British TV called Loose Women. Where today Mr Blobby went on to talk about Brexit. Now, Mr Blobby? Mr Blobby, for those that don't know, he is when I was a kid, okay, I went on 3 holidays in my lifetime. Last one being when I was 11, and yes, that means at the age of 32 it's been 21 years. But the middle one was to a place called Crinkly Bottom. Now, I don't know if Irate Bear remembers what that is, but Crinkly Bottom is the name of the mansion where Noel Edmonds' house party was done. And it was a bit of a...
I fucking love that show.
And Mr Blobby was the... the comedy value, I guess. He was the twat that kept on bashing into people, doing stupid shit, and all he ever said was, and I'll have to pause this video because I don't want to miss any of it. But he wasn't exactly filled with much intellectual stuff. But he went on to Loose Women to talk about Brexit today. So let's see what Mr Blobby had to say on the matter, because this is important. Oh, I've muted the website.
If there's a no deal and we slash the 12,651 EU protectionist tariffs, would that result in a loss or a gain to the UK Treasury?
Yeah, he just says blobby, blobby, blobby. That's all Mr Blobby knows how to say. Mr Blobby has a wife, kids, goldfish, dog. This fucking thing is such cringe. So much cringe. But when I was a kid, this was the funniest shit on the planet. I will... it is linked in the description, by the way, Bear, if you were at all interested in reading it. I'll pull that up for a second, because that's... yeah. I know this isn't relevant now, but we'll come and look at that in a moment. Let's move that there and go here. Fuck it. What do you think about Mr Blobby being on Loose Women? Irate Bear?
Oh,
Trups isn't going to know what Blobby is he?
Not in the slightest.
Honestly.
So, I find it amusing that a mascot that's only capable of saying one word,
yeah,
which is Blobby, going onto a show full of senile, you know, post midlife crisis ladies.
Yeah.
That you know that do try to have political discussions with people, but always end up kind of creaming like a bunch of cougars all over.
I don't care that it's loose women. I care that they just wanted to talk about Brexit and they turned it into a joke. I know it is a joke. I get it, but that kind of joke, that's not even funny. Blobby is cringe now. It's just, it's so much cringe.
If you wanted to rip into Brexit, then all you had to do was get Frankie Boyle to go on.
He's a very quite a left-leaning man, but yeah,
yes, he is. Yeah,
he has a fantastic perspective on it, and I would play it, but I would be instantly demonetized if I'm not already going to be for playing a clip from ITV. Yeah.
Yeah. Frankie Boyle, although very, very left-wing, would have provided a far superior insight than Blobby. And he would have made fun of it, and it would have been funny.
If people are interested in looking up what Mr. Blobby is, might I recommend you look up some of his music, or look up Noel Edmonds' House Party, which was one of the funniest Saturday evening shows I remember watching as a kid. And I can't believe I got to go to Crinkly Bottom.
I remember his #1 hit.
So do I.
Mr. Blobby, Mr. Blobby. Da, 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 da,
and that's a copyright strike. I'm gonna press play on the Brexit things before I get completely sidetracked by Blobby. I will actually put his music on if I can remember to find it at the end.
The country people come from, but on what they can contribute to the UK.
Okay, that comment.
We're never getting through this, are we?
No, she mentioned people come to the UK and what they contribute. Okay, then might it be a good idea to agree now, unilaterally, just outright state, we will not accept unskilled workers. How about that? I'm not saying people shouldn't have the right to come here, but they've got to be able to provide something or give something to this country. You've got to be a commodity to us. Yes, I know, racist. Yep. I'm well aware of that. I know we're not going to get through this because fucking hell. I'm going to press play now.
It ends the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice in the UK. Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
We will make our own laws in our own parliament.
You should see that banter then.
It does. It does. No, it doesn't, you fucking old hack.
I'm just going to... let's go to... Corporation, core values and rights. So we have the parts mentioned in here about the European Convention on Human Rights. So we will basically remain a part of it, because this is a fundamental part of the EU members states that are bound to the Charter of Fundamental Rights. So okay, we're not a part of the courts just yet. Participation in union programs. There's no mention of the courts here. You've got. Let's ignore objectives. Let's go down to courts. Come on. Customs, checks and controls, objective principles, regulatory aspects, financial, digital. Oh, the digital. I still get messages every day. Oh shit! I'm on the wrong fucking tab here. Right. So I won't get into that just yet, but I'm still getting messages by YouTube every day about fucking the Article 13 crap. Carbon fishing, global corporation. Notice how I'm 14 pages in. I have still law enforcement and judicial cooperation. Okay, let's have a look at this. Balanced reciprocal law enforcement, blah blah blah, mutual benefits, blah blah blah. Integrity of the union's legal order, such as to regard to alignment of rules and mechanisms for disputes and enforcement, including the role of the Court of Justice of the European Union. Can you smell the bullshit now coming from Theresa May? Can you smell it?
I can chew it. It's that meaty.
It's fucking grim, man. It's just grim. She lied. Let's move on.
Parliaments here in Westminster and in Edinburgh, Cardiff and Belfast, and they will be adjudicated on by UK courts.
Lies.
And it means an end to sending vast sums of money to the EU. So we can take...
Lies! That's such a lie. Okay, sorry.
Be careful with your keyboard. I can hear you slamming down on it.
No, it's just it's new and really loud. I wish it wasn't, because I'm gently pressing the button. I promise.
Gently.
Gently.
Sounds like you're fucking headbutting it.
Gently. I swear down, fam.
Full control of our money to spend on priorities, including our long-term plan for the NHS, to which we've committed to spending over £394 million more per week by 2023-24.
No one gives a fuck.
And just this morning, I was able to announce a major new investment in primary and community care worth £3.5 billion a year in real terms by 2023-24. Mr. Speaker, the text we have now agreed would create a new free trade area with the European Union, with no tariffs, fees, charges or quantitative restrictions.
Oh, you lying whore!
Yeah, that's actually a lie.
Oh, you can't have all that. The European Union has taken this stance from the beginning.
Yep.
You can't be a part of the free trade area and trade freely, and not have freedom of movement.
Yeah, that's the thing with the argument of wanting us to remain a part of the customs union and the single market, a regularly touted argument by the Scottish Nationalist Party, which is unironically spoken by a nationalist, in that we can't have, and the EU has outright shot this down, you cannot have access to both or be a part of both and not be a member of the EU. Okay, so maybe many people pointed out that that we could have a deal like Norway's, and that way we would retain fishing our waters without any interference from the EU and that kind of crap. The problem is, and it took me only 5 minutes to work this out, Norway's deal actually means the EU have access to their waters for fishing. In exchange for that deal, Norway have access to the single market. People don't seem to realise this because they're so blinded by how shit this deal is. They think Norway's deal is better, but if anything, our deal is worse than Norway's.
Yeah, way fucking worse.
Continuing.
Way fucking worse.
This will be the first such agreement between the EU and any advanced economy in the world, which will be good for jobs. The EU said that the choice was binary, Norway or Canada. The political declaration recognises that there is a spectrum, with the extent of our commitments taken into account.
Spectrum. Autistic spectrum. Yes. And it's important to note the Canada deal took most of a decade to negotiate. Norway's deal is still better than Canada's.
Count in deciding the level of checks and controls. Crucially, the text we have agreed also has an explicit reference to development of an independent trade policy by the UK beyond this partnership with the EU.
Okay, the independent trade policy. The only way this comes into play, or actually is something that could be viable or work, would be if Northern Ireland remained a part of the bloc. I'm sorry, this isn't going to happen the way that she thinks it could happen. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Canada deal. I'm just saying I think Norway's is better because of the whole, movement thing. But I'm subjective because, I just like Norway more than I do Canada. I love also, by the way, and I forgot to mention this earlier because I want to show this that way. This here, there's this people wanting. This was brought up. This somehow came up in my recommended, and I don't know why this came up in my recommended from earlier. They want to televise all independent debates. I don't know why this has cropped up, but it has, and I thought I'd just share it now. I'm going back to this now. I'm just going to go back to this now because honestly I don't understand it either. What do you think about televising all debates?
Well, they give the BBC some content to use, I suppose.
Do it. Thing is, most of the political debates in Parliament are on the Parliament BBC channel anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, most of them are. Yeah.
So
most of them are fucking boring when there's 3 people in the chamber.
Oh yes, but at least
they're not deemed most important enough.
At least when someone shouts you down, you know who the cunt is.
So we would have the ability to sign new trade deals with other countries and capitalise on the opportunities in the fastest growing economies around the world. And we will be able to get on with this, negotiating deals during the implementation period and putting them in place immediately afterwards.
That does mean that the deals cannot be signed, though, because of that stupid poxy transition period that had to be agreed upon because you're so shit.
The deal would mean we leave the Common Agricultural Policy and the Common Fisheries Policy.
No, it does not. No, it does not. You are lying. Okay, so
how far does it go? How far does she reckon it goes? Because as far as I know, the fishery policy allows us to fish in other people's waters and for them to fish in ours, and it also puts a massive limit on the amount that our fishermen can catch.
Yeah. So the current deal is remarkably shit, and also damages the fishing ecology of sorts, because so many fish are just thrown back dead. Thank you, Tiger Lily, for the £5 donation. That's very kind of you. More sandwich money indeed. Where's the fishing? The original draft, I will go to that first because it was fairly obvious. So the original one, I'm on the wrong bloody tab thing again. I do apologise, people. There we go. So the original one, fishing opportunities, cooperation bilaterally and internationally to ensure fishing at sustainable levels, promote resource conservation and foster a clean, healthy and productive marine environment. Noting that the UK will be an independent coastal state, while preserving regulatory autonomy, cooperation on the development of measures for the conservation, rational management and regulation of fisheries in a non-discriminatory manner, working closely with other coastal states and an international fora, including to manage shared stocks. Within the context of the overall economic partnership, establishment of a new fisheries agreement on inter alia access to waters and quota shares to be in place in time to be used for determining fishing opportunities for the first year after the transition period. This is the part that bugs me, because this means giving access, and this is in the outline declaration. This was the original, like, hello Otterface, haven't seen you for a while. Thought you were busy being dead. Access. This already states that that we would give them access to our waters in a new agreement, with a new agreement in place to allow for that. So if I go over here and find fishing, aviation, road, I do apologise, maritime transport? No, that's not fishing. Fishing opportunities, here we go. So, points 73 to 76. The parties, this is, okay, I do want to say this now. You see a lot on this, their parties. Corbyn picked up on this, and he made a point because he read it, for once. He read it and said that this was a bit vague. The thing is, in context, it's actually not a point, because it's not vague at all. We know exactly which parties. It's not a case of other groups. Oh, and thank you, Saki, for linking the Blobby song on stream.me. You're a cunt. I will play a part of it at the end, I promise. Because, of course, I want a copyright strike. So it's not as if we get to it, it's not as much of a point as he thinks it is, because it's not vague in the context of what is being said. The points are: parties should cooperate bilaterally internationally to ensure fishing at sustainable levels, promote conservation and foster a clean, healthy and productive marine environment, noting that we'll be an independent state, which is a point from the original draft in any case. While preserving regulatory autonomy, the parties should cooperate on the development of measures for the conservation, rational management and regulation of fisheries in a non-discriminatory manner, again mentioned. Point 75, within the context of the overall economic partnership, establish a new fisheries agreement, again mentioned. But the last part, the parties will use their best endeavours to conclude and ratify their new fisheries agreement by the 1st of July 2020, end of the transition period, in order for it to be in place in time to be used for determining fishing opportunities for the first year after the transition period, meaning in place so that other people can come and loot our fish. Notice here, now this is what pissed Scotland off, because Scotland isn't mentioned here and fishing is quite, apparently to the SNP, a big deal. I honestly didn't know the Scottish even knew how to fish, because that meant throwing something and getting it back, which kind of went against the Scottish mantra of throwing a brick through a window. I got accused of being anti-Scotland. I'm not anti-Scotland, man. I'm just a dick.
I'm anti-Scotland. Give them their independence.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
It
cost us money.
Yeah, just give them to the EU, man. Just give them to the EU. No hung, drawn, quarter, dankula, man. I'm going to press play now before I say anything else really fucking stupid.
Thanks.
Mr. Speaker, let me be absolutely clear about what this would mean for fishing. We would become an independent coastal state with control over our waters, so our fishermen get a fairer share of the fish in our waters.
Keywords. Fairer share. That is a key, quote. That doesn't mean we have absolute control over our fish in our waters. That is such. I know that it doesn't bug me as much as I make it sound, really, because any country that has a deal like Norway has to give up something in return. I get that, a concession, but it's the standard part and the conservation part that I'm very skeptical of. Go on.
I was about to say it was the part where you mentioned conservation that made me raise an eyebrow.
Yeah,
somewhat.
We should be, because the standards the EU present mean throwing back tons of dead fish. Those fish should be thrown back live. I know that it can't do it all the time, but it's that standard part. Either that or keep them, so we don't just throw away loads of fish.
Yeah.
I do agree with I fish myself on the beach here, and if they're below a certain size and they're edible, I'll throw them back, because that's the rule. But obviously on a larger scale there is. Yeah, and how do you determine fair share?
There are a lot of rules, especially for the UK and their fishing laws.
Yeah, and to put in the chat, the fair share part, honestly, I assume this will be an independent tribunal. I've got land in Scotland, hence my title, and I can go salmon fishing. I don't do fly fishing much, but there's a nice place in Tenterden for it. I've done it before. It's good fun. Luckily for sea fishing, though, we don't need a license, which is one of the few things, one of the few fucking things we unironically don't need a license for. Or you got a license for them hooks? They're barbed. Fuck you.
We have firmly rejected the link between access to our waters and access to markets. The fisheries...
That is absolute bullshit, and you know it. Because you're giving concession for them to access our waters, as you yourself have said, by referencing fairer share, which means you have already conceded ground on it.
Yeah.
This agreement is not something we will be trading off against any other priorities.
Lies.
We are clear that we will negotiate access and quotas on an annual basis, as, for example, do other independent coastal states like Norway and Iceland. The trade agreement with the EU would also cover services and investment that will go further than any other recent EU agreements. And it would secure new arrangements for our financial services sector, ensuring that market access cannot be withdrawn on a whim, and providing stability and certainty for our world-leading industry.
She's so boring. I'm going to move to Corbyn, because it's way more interesting.
Yeah, I want to see her get shouted at.
Oi, go where I tell you. No, she's still talking. Is she still talking? I think he starts at 8 minutes in. Okay.
There he is.
Article 50 period, we would have a trade deal. The International Trade Secretary said it would be the easiest in human history. Instead, we have 26 pages of waffle.
He's right.
This...
I prefer pancake.
Jeremy.
Yeah, no, it's proper condescending. He's right, though. That's what's so fucking annoying. Corbyn's right. Oh, no. Oh, the world is ending. It took him 2 years to come up with 26 pages. Oh. I just give up. Okay.
Hell has frozen over, Omegon. It's frozen over.
For God's sake.
empty document. This empty document could have been written 2 years ago. It's peppered with phrases such as, the parties will look at. The parties will...
Okay, actually, that's a point. He's right. Not the parties part, the look at. That is vague. That is very vague. Okay, he is right. Shit.
We'll explore what on earth has the government been doing for the last 2 years.
I think we can all answer that. Wanking, thumb wars, me polishing their knobs. Actually, that's wanking. Right. I don't know. Doing extensive research into which phone holds the best charge for watching prolonged pornography.
Mate, it's the Conservative Party. They were all playing Soggy Biscuit.
All of them were playing Soggy Biscuit. My character, I had a wizard, an arcane mage, a water mage, sorry, on WoW back in like 2008, called Soggy Biscuit. I unironically
he was known throughout.
I didn't even know what that meant. I was going to call her Moist, and this was long before I even knew that word cringed people out. I was going to call her Moist, but my housemates refused. They were like, fuck you, you do that, we're kicking you out. I'm moving on, fuck you.
They've managed less than 1 page a month since the referendum.
Oh, he's beating the fuck out of him.
The Prime Minister said nothing is... The Prime Minister said nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. It's clear from this document that indeed nothing is agreed. This is the blindfold Brexit we all feared, a leap in the dark.
But this was new. No, most of this was known about, to be honest. Like when the Chequers agreement came out, and she decided to push ahead with it. Once it was debunked, and she said she was still going to do it anyway, we knew we were going to get a shit deal. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as scandalous, I guess. Maybe that's my point.
It falls short of our...
In the chat, someone says, if you're hearing this, North Korea sucks.
And then deleted his message. CG Grizzly.
Well, that it's still on the Streamlabs chat, so lol.
Labour's 6 tests.
Okay. Labour's 6 tests is going to come up in a minute, so I'm going to switch down to here, and we're going to go here. These are the 6 tests. Does it ensure a strong and collaborative future? I'm bringing this up now because in a minute, when Theresa May speaks again, she is going to ask these questions and answer them. And I'm hoping we can get to them because I would love to get to that and finish on that because it'd be so funny. Let's do that. There we go. Let's continue.
This government...
Go on, Jeremy.
This government could have negotiated a new comprehensive customs union, giving certainty to business and securing manufacturing industry and manufacturing industry jobs. Instead, Mr. Speaker, they're more interested with dog whistling on immigration.
Dog whistling?
Yeah, I don't know what that... I don't quite understand the dog whistling part. Because I haven't heard the Conservatives...
I thought dog whistling was specific to sort of signalling to the alt-right.
Yeah, this is why... I think that's what he's talking about, the far-right in this country. I think that's what he's referring to. The problem is, the Conservatives have said fuck all about immigration, really. And yeah, Aspie, you are quite right. You know how bad things are when Jeremy Corbyn is talking sense. The problem is, he doesn't have to come up with anything realistically. Okay, the 6 tests for Brexit, actually kind of clever. Doesn't stack up, but it's quite clever. It's been come up with. But the fact is, he can just shoot everything they say down and look good doing it, because he doesn't have to be the problem solver. He's not tech support, obviously.
Yeah, he just has to make May and the Conservatives look like cunts, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Oh god, it's so bad.
When the Prime Minister...
What I might do, because Corbyn absolutely flays her, I'm going to try and find the bit where she talks about the 6 tests.
But before you do it, Meg, I just want to point something out, right?
You go on.
I remember talking to you about Jeremy Corbyn like 2 years ago or a year ago, whatever, and pointing out how weak of a leader he was, and now look at him.
Yeah, they've managed to build him up as the problem. One of the major flaws in his character was his unwillingness to put himself out there, to put a personality out there, because he, as he said in interviews with Vice, in very very in-depth interviews, he's not a celebrity or anything. The thing is, if you want to succeed, you have to become one. Look at Tony Blair; he became a celebrity to win, and I have to pull him up. I have to mention him as well. But look at Donald Trump. he used his celebrity and his extreme wealth to a T. It's just something you have to do. I have to try and find Theresa May saying this. It's fucking brilliant.
Are going to
the important part
Oh, go on.
I was going to say the important thing to remember about that, by the way, is that not every celebrity then can do that and translate their wealth and their fame into political tact and political positioning. It just so happens that certain people have the gift of gab and also fame and wealth to do.
Yes, quite right. I'll press play so I can find this.
Coastal state. And I also have to say to the right honourable gentleman, what I have been doing throughout this is looking at what the best interests are of the United Kingdom. So let's just go through his other challenge to this, which was the
someone to say fuck
Labour tests on Brexit.
I nailed it.
I swear I heard someone...
They may have done.
I swear I heard someone say, "Oh, fuck off."
I would go back, but it's so hard to get to a position, and I just hit the 6 Labour tests. I can't.
Just leave it. Just leave it then.
Oh, here we go. Right, this is brilliant. Right.
Does it ensure a strong and collaborative future relationship with the EU? Yes.
No.
Wait.
Does it ensure the fair management of migration in the interests of the economy and communities? Yes. Does it defend rights and protections and prevent a race to the bottom? Yes. Does it protect national security and our capacity to tackle costs? Yes, it does. And does it deliver? Does it deliver?
Mr. Mahmood! We don't need you gesticulating.
Amazing.
You're not a football
She's not done
referee
yet,
or a
though,
lines
don't worry.
person. Calm yourself, man. The Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And does it ensure that it delivers a deal that is good for every part of the UK? Yes, it does.
No, it does not.
And can I just say...
Amazing.
We have confirmation from James in the chat. Said, I bet yes, they did. I went back. I swear I heard it. Fuck off. How did the speaker not hear that?
I don't know, but I love the fact that it did come up. That's actually absolutely fantastic.
That was so telling, Omegon. That was so fucking telling. Because usually, the Prime Minister usually has the backing of his or her party. And they'll all be, you know, whooping behind them in favour of them.
Yeah.
But the Conservatives weren't at all, were they?
Oh, that's interesting. Saki, Jodie Whittaker's rumoured to be quitting Doctor Who along with the... Chibnall, the current showrunner. That, if true, wouldn't surprise me, because I stated in a stream I did with Laura Bones on this channel, before I unlisted all the non-political streams, but the thing I talked about on that was that I didn't believe, and I had to draw on this particular thing, she is a young parent. I didn't think she would be able to commit to such a job when it's 9 months a year, constantly working and promoting.
That is quite a lot for someone to take
and so
on,
I'm not. If it's rumoured to be true, that doesn't surprise me. I'm not a huge fan of the overly politically correct stuff anyway, so it'd be nice if I don't even care about the gender. I really don't. It's genuinely how shit the story writing has gotten. But before we finish, would any of you like to shield something before we leave? And I play Mr. Blobby on the way out.
Subscribe to Keemstar.
Trups?
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Oh. Okay, well, I'm just...
You made me like a right dick.
I haven't said much this stream, and I apologize.
I'm gonna do something rather nice for you then. I'm gonna do this.
Oh,
go to the rabbit room.
Oh god. Memories. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh yeah. I'm a man of my word.
Oh, kill me now.
Never.
Fucking, this used to be musical statue music. Oh.
You can suffer this shit with me.
Oh no. Please stop fingering me behind the chair. Oh, make it stop.
Calling.
Stop it.
Never.